What was your initial reaction to Jonathan and Christopher Nolan's screenplay when you read it for the first time?
Wow. It took me 5.5 hours to read because I kept going back trying to understand basically some of the science of it and some of the story turns and the plausibility of it, and trying to understand and conceive the worlds I was in. And I had a lot of questions. And I got most of those questions answered over the next few months before we started shooting. But it was a pretty awe-inspiring script, and the concepts that Chris comes up with and he's able to realize on screen, I don't know where and how his mind works to come up with these things.
So I know when it comes to the legal language and True Detective, you spent a lot of time getting scripts with that. How did you find getting your head around the science of the movie? Was there something that particularly captured your imagination as well?
Well, the theories are pretty awe-inspiring. How gravity works and time works in different places, how it runs differently in different places, what would happen if you went through some of these, wormholes or black holes. Again, it heightened my curiosity because I had never really thought about those things before. So to sit down with Kip Thorne, to sit down and talk to Chris and talk to astronauts about these things, heightened my curiosity. And I needed to understand the plausibility, one for myself, but two, Cooper's the pilot. I'm in charge, I'm flying the plane that's got the spaceship I have a crew that I'm responsible for. So I constantly was saying, what's the rules? What are the logistics of this geography that we're in right now, Chris? And he did a wonderful job of explaining a lot of it to me and the rules that he was creating in the film. Now mind you, like I said, this film was not saying this is exactly how it would happen. These are theories and they're based on some plausibility. And I needed to understand those.
And you've been in several acclaimed independent films recently.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan started out with movies like Following and Memento. How far do you think he's retained that kind of independent spirit?
I've said this from the very beginning of working with him. I mean, when I went in to work with him, I was thinking, is he a perfectionist? Is this going to be like a guy who does 40 takes? No, he actually is always looking for the imperfection. And when you're shooting a scene, it felt like those independent films. It's 3-4 takes, raw, natural, fast. Nothing's too precious. Because he has the time and because he has the resources to sort of have time be very precious and use these huge scopes and scales and set pieces, I thought maybe we'd have a lot of, you gotta go back to the trailer time. No, when you show up to work, you're working with Chris, and you don't go back and rest at the trailer. You're moving raw, naturally, and fast.
And I really admire his commitment to in-camera practical special effects wherever they're possible. What impact does that have for you as an actor?
You don't have to pretend as much as an actor. The practicals are there. When you're seeing the display of the event horizon rising, I'm seeing it at the same time you're seeing it on screen. I'm seeing when you're over my shoulder, I'm seeing the exact same thing you're seeing. So I'm not having to act to a green screen. I'm not having to pretend. I'm not having to listen to a script supervisor or director tell me in my ear what I should be imagining I'm seeing, because it's practically there. Much more, you get to behave instead of having to play so much pretend.
And Professor Brand in the film's played by Sir Michael Caine, who you know from your pilot days. What's he like to be around on set? Quite a raconteur, I imagine.
Yeah, no, old wise man. He's got some great jokes, great sense of humor. And it's great to see someone who's been doing it for as long as he's done it. And he just steps right in and just nails it in a couple of takes and he's done.
And I mentioned Dylan Thomas, the poem, to him, and he's like, I knew Dylan Thomas. And pretty incredible, isn't it? Yeah. I think Interstellar's anyone's idea of a cinephile's dream, really.
Yeah.
When did you first fall in love with cinema?
I'm still in a falling in love with cinema stage. I didn't grow up watching films, so I started to learn to really like films in the making of them. And I kind of still like making them more than I like watching them. Maybe because when I watch them, I know whatever that experience was, it's kind of over. And I love the daily construction and architecture of building a story. So I'm still falling in love with cinema as I go.
Matthew McConaughey, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.